Hello, my dear students. Today I am going to take up one very important concept from human resources management, which is employee remuneration, base salary, and allowances. So today we are going to discuss about it. First of all, what we are going to do, we are going to take some important concepts, rather I can say the terminology which is used in this employee remuneration. So we are going to discuss them one by one today. So let us start. So as I said, we are going to discuss about the terminology and concepts that we are using in human resource management when the concept of employee remuneration is discussed here. So let us take them. So let us start the first concept of this today's discussion, which is wage. What is a wage? Now there are many definitions about this wage, as well as there are different confusions between wage and salary. So through different videos today, as I am going to discuss about wage, I will make you clear about the differences between wage and salary. So today we will discuss about wage, what wage is. This wage is first of all it's defined by ILO, that is International Labour Organization, that defines wage as the remuneration which is paid by the employer for the service of hourly, daily, weekly and fortnightly basis, to the employees. So here you have to make it sure the employee who gets wage can be an employee who is working on hourly basis, or who is working on daily basis, or who is working on weekly basis or fortnightly basis. But when we talk about salary, salary is defined, it is also a remuneration, because wage is a remuneration and hence salary is also a remuneration. It is mostly paid, I am talking about salary, which is paid to the clerical and managerial personnel employed on monthly and annual basis. So here the difference is the wage is paid hourly, daily, weekly or fortnightly employees, whereas salary is paid to clerical and managerial employees on monthly or annual basis. So this makes a differentiation between wage and salary very clear. Now as I said you, this wage, it is a remuneration. When I talk about remuneration, what remuneration is now? First of all, let us discuss this. Remuneration is also called as compensation. And why this remuneration is very critical in an organization? It is because remuneration contributes to three critical aspects of human resource management. Right? If we talk about what are those critical aspects, we can take them one by one. The first one we can take here is attracting. It attracts capable employees. First one is it attracts the capable employees or candidates for the job. The second one is it motivates the employees towards the achievement of organizational strategies. It motivates the employees. Then we have third one. Third one here is it tries to retain capable employees over a long period of time. So it tries to retain the employees over a long period of time. Now when I talk about this wage, this is a type of remuneration, or this is a remuneration which is paid to the blue collar employees. Now the concept here is, the point here is, who are blue collar employees? Here the blue collar employees are typically classified as employees who are involved in manual labor and to whom the compensation is paid on hourly basis. Now if we look, where can we find these blue collar employees? These blue collar employees are mostly found in the construction, they are mostly found in the manufacturing, they are mostly found in the maintenance, and they are mostly found in the mining sectors. And when we talk of this wage, it is a type of reward which is paid by the employer to the to the employee. This reward, when you talk about or this wage, as I said, wage is a reward. When you talk about in general about the rewards are of two types. First is intrinsic and the second one is extrinsic. What is this intrinsic type of reward? These intrinsic rewards are actually, they are the satisfiers that employers get from the job. These are called as intrinsic rewards. They get it from the job itself. Fine. So which type of rewards come under this intrinsic? We have pride in one's work. We have participate in decision making. We have more interesting work. We have job freedom, autonomy. We have having a feeling of job and accomplishment. Then being a member of any team, that is more that is being a part of any team. Then job enrichment we can also include in the intrinsic rewards. But when we talk of the extrinsic rewards, when you talk of those, these are the rewards which include wage, salary, fringe benefit, welfare measures, promotions, incentives. And these extrinsic rewards are actually the rewards which are external to the job, and these type of rewards, they come mostly from the management. Now when I talk of these extrinsic rewards, these are of two types. One is financial reward and the other one is non-financial reward. When I talk of financial reward, these include a wage, they include salaries, they include allowances, incentive payments, then bonus, right? These all come under financial rewards. When I talk of non-financial rewards, they include we have canteen facilities, we have convenience facilities, we have medical care, we have paid vacations, we have paid sick leaves, etc. They come in the non-financial rewards. Now coming to financial rewards, we have two types here. One is performance based and the other one is membership based. Now when I talk of these performance based rewards, they are exemplified by the use of commissions, incentive pay, piecework, pay plans, then group bonus, etc. But when I talk of this membership based rewards, membership rewards are allocated to all employees as they are the employees of the organization, and hence when you talk of the membership based rewards, they include basic salary or pay. They include DA also. Based on this, DA is based on the cost of living index. Then we have HRA, house rent allowances. Then we have compensatory allowances. Why did I show you this chart here? The simple motive behind this is to find out where does this wage actually come from. So this wage is actually an extrinsic financial, and in that this is a membership based reward. What is that? I am talking about here the wages, right? Now let me discuss with you for a couple of minutes about the increase in male workers from 1993-94, which is the base year here, to 2011 and 12. Now if you see here, we have self-employed, we have regular employed, and we have casual employees here. Here these are all of male category. When I talk about 1993-94 to 2004 and 5, the number of here male workers in self-employed sector, it has increased at an average rate of 2.3%. Then regular in the same time period, it has increased by 2.4%, and when I talk about the casual employees, it has increased by 1.6% from 1993-94 to 2004 and 5. Here I again repeated, 93-94 is the base year. Now when I talk from 2004-5 to 11-12, the self-employed growth rate has come down to 0.6% if we talk about this in this tenure. But the regular employees, when I talk about the male, it has increased from 2.4% to 3.7%, and the casual employees among the male categories has increased from 1.6 to 2.2%. Now, if I talk of the overall from 1993, 1994 till 2011 and 12, there has been a 1.7 growth rate in self-employed, then 2.9% growth rate in regular employees, and 1.9% growth rate in the casual employees among the male category. Now here when I talk about the female category, female workers, here 1993-94 to 2004 and 5, the self-employed group in this like self-employed, the female had a growth rate of 3.1%. The regular employees here from the female category, they had a growth rate of 5.2%, and casual female workers had a growth rate of 0.5%. Now when I talk about here from 2004-5 to 2011-12, there has been a negative growth rate in self-employed female workers, and again the decline in the regular female workers from 5.2% to 4.0%, and casual workers there is again a negative growth from 0.5% to minus 1.8%. Now when we talk from 1993-1994 till 2011 and 12, there has been a growth rate of 0.6% in self-employed female workers, then 4.7% growth rate in regular female workers, and negative growth rate in casual workers, that too among the female categories from 1993-94 to 2011 and 12. However, we see there is an overall decline in women's participation during the period of 2004-5 to 2011 and 12. It is mainly because of the decline in unpaid contributing family workers who are categorized under self-employment. You can say here we have minus 3.2 growth rate in that. That is a negative growth rate. And some people here, what they argue, they say this is because women have opted for unremunerated work in the household sphere, and there can be other reason because like improvement in economic conditions within the household, it also sometimes influences the withdrawal of women from labor market participation. This is why these are considered to be the reasons why there has been decline in the female participation in the working environment. Now this is the annual employment growth rate for all females and males together. Here if you see self-employed, here when I talk about both male female in this period 1993-94, 2004-5, 2.6 it has come down to minus 0.7. then it has gone, like if you take the overall average rate from 1993-94 to 2011-12, it is 1.3. When I talk about the regular employees, this has increased from 2.8% to 3.8%, but when I talk of this overall from this time period, it is 3.2%. And when I talk about the casual workers, both male and female, it has come down from 1.2 to 0.9%. and when I talk about the overall average average rate change from this time period to 2011-12, it is 1.1%. So this was about the employment of, this is the employment change, actually the growth rate in the employment between these two categories, that is male, female, and then together we have taken both male and female. Why I am discussing it? Because I want to show you now the evolution of the wage rates. Now if we go to the next graph here, we have here next graph about the evolution of daily wages, urban and rural, from 1993-94 to 2011 and 12, and again here the base year is 1993-94. Now if we look at this graph, we find that real average daily wages, which is actually expressed by the arithmetic mean, यानी nominal wages adjusted for change in consumer prices. It has almost doubled from 1993, 1994 to 2011 and 12, right? Actually, it is more than double in rural areas. If you see, it is 100 here. If we take the base 1993, 94 as 100, and then if we look at 11, 12, it is 203. That is more than double in rural workers, among the rural workers. But when we talk about the urban areas, there was again an increase. Was again an increase from 1993, 94 to 2000. 11, 12, but it was considerably smaller. But when we talk of like in general for the entire period of 1993, 1994 to 2011 and 12, the average annual growth rate in real wages for all workers was about 3.7 percentage. Now this is the evolution of daily real wages of male and female workers in India. Now, when we talk about the labor markets in India, the labor market in India it is characterized by gender-based disparities. The NSSO data show that the daily wages of women have increased more rapidly than those of men, particularly more recently when we talk from 2004 and 5 till 2011 and 12. Now what is the reason here in increase of this wage? The main reason here is, or the rapid rise in wages during this period is partly due to implementation of MG Narega in the rural areas. This MG Narega, as we know, it ensured employment and minimum wages for all workers in the program, right? And along with that, it also pushed up the wages in the agricultural sector, getting them slowly closer to the minimum wages specified in MG Narega. So we can clearly see from this graph the wages among females is growing at a faster rate than the males. Now you see here, this is the wage differentials between the different sectors of our economy. We have primary, we have secondary, and we have tertiary. The wage differentials between sectors are important drivers of intersectoral movement of workers, and that leads to like movement from the primary sector, that is the agricultural sector, towards the non-agricultural sector, that is secondary and tertiary here. There are like ample evidences which shows that higher wages in non-agricultural activities will draw excess labor from agricultural sector to secondary and tertiary sector. Now this process of shifting benefits not only those who withdraw and shift to other industries, but also workers who remain in agriculture, where productivity and wages can increase due to lower land to labor to land ratio, right? Because we know like our economic growth, it is mostly driven by an expansion in the service sector than in secondary or primary sector. Now if you see here what the daily wage in the primary sector, it is how much in the year 2011-12, it has increased for casual workers. If you see primary sector, then we have regular workers here, it is 192. For casual workers, if you see 122 is here, in the secondary sector is 168, in the tertiary sector is 168, almost same here, it is same here. When I talk about the casual regular workers, in primary sector it is 192, then 357 in secondary and 424 in the tertiary sector. That means there is a big gap, big difference here. Now you can have a look like daily wages of detailed economic activity and employment status 2011-12 by nominal in nominal terms. We have primary sector here, we have agriculture and allied sectors. You can see like this one is regular and this one is casual. Now in the secondary you can see mining and quarrying, we have manufacturing, we have electricity, gas and water, and construction. In tertiary we have trade, all like service sector. You see there has been a huge growth rate here. Now coming to the real average daily wages, here we have organized sector and we have organized unorganized sector. You see the daily wage, all organized workers. We have regular formal workers. You can see the growth rate is very high. Regular for informal workers, you can see the growth rate here. Then we have casual workers here from 2004 5 to 2011. You can see here 513, 750, 411 and 130. This is the change among the workers between from in this period 2011 and 12 in the organized sector. When I talk for this period 2004 and 5, you can see here it has come down like from 430 to 113. Here it was an increase from like totally if we talk about in regular we have an increase, then it has come down to informal like 315 only. Now if we talk about nominal average daily wages for casual workers based on their education. Now see here casual urban male workers. Now you see 166 rupees for below primary, 179 for primary, 196 for secondary and 219 for higher degrees. Then we have casual rural male workers here. It is lesser than the urban male workers. It is 141 for primary or below primary, 150 primary, then 162 for secondary and 163 for higher degree. Now there is no much difference between secondary and higher degree. Now when it comes to casual urban female workers, you can see 110 below primary, 109 primary. Now see here the female workers, that is the casual rural female workers, are earning less than the secondary workers. If we see here, there is the difference here 110 and 109 between whom primary and below primary. There is no much difference here, right? Now when we talk about the regular workers, the earlier one was for casual workers. If you see here, the regular urban male workers below primary 206, then primary 222, then secondary 317, then higher degree 735. Now when we talk about the regular rural male workers, now see the disparity here, too much disparity is here. Below primary they are earning 173, primary are earning 187, secondary are earning 280 and higher degree are earning 492 rupees. Now when it comes to regular female workers, it is 123 for below primary, 129 for primary, 241 for secondary and 566 for higher degree. When we talk about the regular rural female workers, it is 191 below primary, 100 for primary, 150 for secondary and 361 per higher degree. Now let us have a look about the nominal regular wage urban and rural by state. Now if you see here, the Haryana is at the top, which is paying 783 rupees, then followed by Assam, then followed by Jharkhand, and then we have here Jammu and Kashmir 495 rupees, then Karnataka 488 rupees. So this is the data of 2011 and 12. And here at last we have Andhra Pradesh, we have Tamil Nadu, we have Punjab, we have Chhattisgarh and we have Gujarat. Now when I talk about the rural one, here Jharkhand is at the top, it pays 485 rupees, where the income of or the wage of the rural people is 485 rupees. Then it is Uttarakhand 463, then we have Jammu and Kashmir is 431, then we have Bihar 416 and then we have Himachal Pradesh. Then if we talk about the last 5 here, it is Madhya Pradesh, then West Bengal, Andhra Pradesh, Orissa and Karnataka. Here it is 219 rupees. Now if we look at the average daily wage rate of India, I was trying to get the data from the past 10 years up to 2020, but unfortunately I could get data only up to 2014. There is no data available after 2014 from this website. If we see, there has been an increase from 230 rupees, this is hopefully in the year 2011, to 240.91 paisa in 2012. Then in the year 2013 it has increased to 255.65, and then finally in the year 2014 it has increased to 272.9 rupees. So this is the average daily wage rate of our country. Thank you so much for watching this video. Today I could complete the wage concept in this video, along with giving some statistical data from different websites. Hope it is useful to you and you make use of this video. Please do like, comment and share my videos with your friends. Thank you so much. Please do subscribe my channel. Thank you.